Get in the cart.
Right at us. The best in the business, Roger Cleveland.
Can't wait to get back to Chicago and Mistwood.
This is Party of Four, a Mistwood Golf Club podcast. And welcome into the Party of Four podcast. I'm Ben Hutchison alongside Andy Michelson, Director of Golf.
Hey, how you doing?
And we have another special guest on this episode. Pro Emeritus. Who is it, Andy?
Dan Phillips. Is this your first time or second time? Second time, right?
A podcast?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did that little memorial thing for
that's right. That's
Jim
right.
that one time. It was great.
Yeah.
That's right. Going over some things.
Yeah.
Jim's going to be a big topic today as well. But first, Dan, you're here. We got you in the seat. Pro Emeritus. What does that mean? Because people have seen you here for decades.
I think really what it means is that I've had just about every title here at one point, and I couldn't really figure out which other, what was last, to figure out how to, the exit point and getting out. And it's like, hey, I've seen this one before. So,
there's like 28 classifications in the PGA program, so I just wanted to check all the boxes on his way out.
I was actually, when I was director of marketing, I was actually 28 at that point on the scale of
A-28.
A28 or something. I think it was no chance to have any other title doing anything. Here you are. You're still a pro.
Still a pro at the end of the day.
Still a pro.
Still a pro.
So what have you been up to?
Oh, man, life is great. Just teaching a little bit, okay, which is great. I mean, you still have some students that I'm blessed enough that they want to see me, which is fun. So I do that on mostly Wednesdays when I'm home. 30 plus years or whatever it is of things that I haven't done. I'm starting to do I pulled a toilet, put a new toilet in at the house, great things like that, faucets. I bought a lawnmower yesterday. So I sound pretty much like your typical retired guy,
Is it a riding lawnmower, though?
No, not yet.
Okay.
I tried to talk the wife into it. She said, by the time you need to completely ride, we'll go and have somebody do it for you. So. Which is very nice of her,
What was the first day of retirement where you forgot what day it is? Is that pretty early on? Like, oh, shoot, is this Wednesday, Thursday, Friday? I can't remember.
The problem is, by the time you're in retirement, you're pretty much forgetting everything anyway. So forgetting what day it is pretty common. or worse, trying to remember what you did the day before. So...
That's fair. That's fair. So this week was a ton of fun. We had the McWethy Cup out here. And do you want to give a little background on that, Dan?
McWethy Cup started with a surprise birthday party for Jim. His friends, we were just starting to take over, and his friends wanted to do something special. I think they wanted to do something special for him at the golf course, and they wanted to do something special for him for his 60th birthday. So we put this whole thing together. I mean, Jim's friends are some pretty amazing people. They really loved him. They loved playing jokes on him, and that which kind of came over to us with us doing it too. They got us involved in it and their little pranks and things with him, and then we started our own. And he was a gracious guy who really enjoyed it. I mean, he did. He had fun with this stuff. Where other people, I think, might have had a problem with some of the pranks and stuff. He didn't. He enjoyed every moment of it.
What was the hole-in-one story with the car? Oh, you got to tell that one.
That was great. Well, Jim was kind of a car collector. Mm-hmm. Not like crazy, super expensive stuff, but just stuff that he liked. I mean. And one of the cars that he had a Cobra, and those Cobras.
Hey, he wasn't collecting Chevy Cavaliers.
No.
Porsche guy.
No. But, he had remember his pickup truck or whatever, the SUV?
Yep.
That he was so proud of once he had like 250,000 miles on the engine. He's like, guess what, guys? I put a new engine in it.
An old garbage Tahoe. Things just beat.
So he was that kind of guy too. But we talked him into putting one of his favorite cars up for a hole-in-one on the went on 14. And hey, Jim, hole-in-ones, 1,000,000-to-1 shot. Nobody's ever going to win this thing. Blah blah blah. So he was up on the tee, and we set it up with his friends that they were going to drop. One of the groups is going to drop a ball in a hole,
like the group ahead of him.
Yes,
yeah.
And he was on a tee. He came up. They dropped it in. Well, the guys hit it in the lake, and everybody's going, "Oh, that looks good. Whatever. This could be in. Could be in." Went down there in the holes. The ball's in the hole. He just, it was really interesting. He's like, "Well, yeah."
It's like total panic, right?
He didn't know what to do. He didn't know a thing. So we rode it out for a little while longer, and then finally told him that, "Yeah, Jim, it's still your car. You're not giving it away to one of your best friends who just made a hole-in-one on a 14th hole." That's the kind of stuff we did to him, and
it's cool that
he loved it.
Yeah, it's cool.
He loved it.
Yeah.
I'd heard while we're telling the stories before we get into this year's McWethy Cup, there was some sort of pro event with him and something about bunkers I'd heard about.
Oh my God. Yeah. That was the worst. So we're playing up at Shore Acres, and we got it going. I mean, we're kind of in the hunt, but it was a true alternate shot, which when you're playing in a pro president event, like why in the heck would you ever have the format be an alternate shot? So anyway, Jim pipes one of his best drives of the day. We're playing 16 at Shore Acres, straightaway par 4, straightest par 4 on the golf course. Hits it right down the middle, and I got 125 yards left. Bread and butter. This is auto, inside 10 feet all day long. I yanked the hell out of a pitching wedge. And we go in one of the deepest bunkers on the golf course, which is left to the green of 16. And I'm a foot and a half from the face of this thing, and it's 8 feet in front of us. And I'm like, God dang, there's no chance. Just don't hit it back in your own footprint, Jim. So Jim fats it, gets closer to the wall. So I've got literally zero chance. I get into the wall, comes back. Bada bing, bada boom. Long story short, we make 10 or 11 on this thing. And we're just kind of quiet about, the whole thing, because we were kind of bummed because we were out of it. Because the year before, I think we got second. We almost won the thing. So we get in, and it's nice, Shore Acres, you have to wear a jacket at dinner and all this stuff. And it was funny because a different side that I've never seen before, he was razzing me the whole time and telling everybody how his pro can't hit a green from 120 yards and his pro can't get it out of bunker 3 different times, because all we were doing was hitting it closer and closer and closer to the face, to the point where we were like, all right, fine, we just got to kind of hit it out sideways, and made her 10 or 11. But it was so much fun. We had such a great time in that event. I look forward to that every year. Playing with him was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, we got a lot of years of us giving it to him. We finally found somebody to give it back to.
Yeah, that was great. I was like, oh, I deserve it. Yeah. I should probably hit a green for 120 yards.
Well, fortunately, you've improved since then, Andy.
Yeah.
Everyone's happy about that. So we did have a new format for the McWethy Cup this year, and we incorporated a charity side of it as well. So let's go into that. It's PGA Hope. This is a little background on that, and then how much we were going to be able to raise, which is even better. This is Carrie Williams from the Illinois PGA.
PGA Hope stands for Helping Our Patriots Everywhere, and it is a way that we introduce the game of golf via our PGA professionals to veterans to enhance their physical, emotional, and social well-being. It's not just about the golf, though. It's about the community. It's a way that veterans can engage in a free activity where they come together in unity and share stories and life experiences. It's a reason for them to leave the house. Some days it's a reason for them to get out of bed. And we are so proud that our PGA professionals, who are the experts in the business and game of golf, have taken on the veteran community. And through your help today, through your participation today, a gift's going to be given to PGA Hope in in the Illinois PGA Foundation, and we will be able to continue to enhance the lives of veterans through the game of golf and our PGA professionals. So we're thrilled to be a part of this day. Mr. McWethy was a wonderful man who had a major impact on golf in Illinois. We're pleased to be celebrating him, and we're pleased to be carrying on his legacy through your gifts to PGA Hope.
With everyone playing golf, the diners, the donations, and the hole sponsors, we are at about $13,000. But that's not it. Our family has agreed to match that number, so we're actually going to be more like $26,000. Yeah, no, it's awesome.
So that was really cool. That was Todd McWethy, Jim's son, at the end there. $26,000, and that goes towards an awesome cause. Golfers out here, everyone had a great time. And Dan, you even played in it.
Yeah, I did. It was. It's fun because you get a chance. And over the years, I've played in, well, I guess it's 18, 19 of them at this point. I've really got to know a lot of Jim's friends. Playing with them, and they've been gracious to us too. I mean, we got a chance to play shy golf with because Jim and his friends he had some friends that were members there, and they invited us out there, or the Dunes Club or something. It was wonderful, and they have a charity like that. That's all about Jim. He was two things that he really loved. He loved golf, and he loved America. I mean, he did. He was a patriot kind of guy, and the military, doing something like that, helping out veterans, that's right up his alley.
Yeah, when we sat down with the family, and this was even back in 2020, we're like, what's going to be kind of the next step for McWethy Cup? Because Jim passed in June of 2020, and we're actually thinking about unfortunately COVID was in the way, but like, what can we do to kind of continue that legacy of McWethy Cup? And it took a little while for us to kind of figure out what the right move was, and it's really kind of just more of a tournament in his honor. It still has some of his friends from the past, but more or less people want to get behind the same things that we believed in, that Jim believed in, and for this first year especially, it seemed to make the most sense to align with something that was very, very much the same things that Jim cared about and Jim believed in, which is PGA Hope, helping our veterans basically cope after they come home. Basically it's giving free golf to veterans in its most basic form, but you don't know what that think about kind of even, and I hate to equate the two, but think of in 2020 when we were going through COVID, what was the one thing that early on people gravitated to? They gravitated to golf, because that's one of those things that really kind of puts your mind at ease and gives you something to focus on. So, it's great to align with that charity, and couldn't be happier to be aligned just as a PGA member with the whole thing.
And his daughter Gretchen, along with Todd, they were both out on hole 9 just talking with everyone. So I caught up with them then and did quick little interviews. So let's see what they had to say about the event.
This day is incredibly special for our family. As many know, our father passed away in June of 2020. And McWethy Cup was an event that he hosted each year, which was probably his favorite day of the year. And now that he's not with us, this is the least we could do to honor him each year and just come out and gather friends and have fun and celebrate him and his legacy.
Oh, he would love it. The McWethy Cup stressed him out a lot. It was a love-hate relationship, I think, but that had more to do with the planning of it. He would stress out for weeks before the event. A lot of it had to do with foursomes, who to put together and things like that. But ultimately it was like probably one of his favorite days of the year. So I think he'd be thrilled that we've continued it, and hopefully we do it for years to come.
It was so great just being around them and seeing the smiles and the appreciation from other people for the event and for Jim. And yesterday would have been his 79th birthday, so we've been thinking about him a lot.
Right.
Yeah, and this event too will open up some avenues that we've wanted to pursue as a property, as a staff, as things we've talked about. Some things that are being brought on the table are things like having scholarship programs for the kids that work for us. Dan's talked about that.
Yeah.
Dan Phillips talked about that for forever. And we're going to try and do some really special things that Jim cared about on top of trying to support the organizations that we support from the year before. So really kind of spreading the wealth, for lack of a better word. We're going to try and do our best to make sure that legacy lives on in this event. And I actually think it could become a 2-day event. I think after this year and how how much people really got behind it, not knowing what it was at all, and then seeing what it was and what it became, I think it could be a good opportunity for, hey, let's close for a couple of days and really blow this thing out.
Yeah, whatever works,
Yeah.
We're here to support it, and I enjoyed the heck out of the day, and it was fun seeing some familiar faces in recent years that have come to the event, and then obviously some new people out this year. And like you said, I think there's no ceiling on the event.
Absolutely not.
You know what? I'd like to backtrack just a little bit. People got to be listening to us, and they've listened to us for years about Jim, like he's some kind of, I don't know, deity or something like that. Jim was a very, very special man. I've been here for, since '98, since the place opened. And I watched, it was a great concept. The golf course was wonderful. But money-wise and things, it just wasn't happening. And we're running into problems. And it ended up that Jim took over the course and took over the entire property. And it was a beautiful day for all of us, and just somebody, okay, here's a glimmer of hope. Here's a glimmer of hope of something that we think is kind of special. And the man that he was, he decided to build something that was just amazing and put himself totally into it. Now, I don't know if you can imagine whatever you do for work and then have somebody come in and go, listen, think of everything you'd ever want to make your workplace special, to make it as good or better than anywhere else in the world. And I'm going to do that for you. And you look at that as somebody making a place for you that you're going to spend. Work. You spend your time at work. You spend most of your day, most of your life at work when it comes down to it. Mm-hmm. To have somebody make something that special for you to that environment, for not only you as a worker, but for the people around it. The people who want to come out and play and that, and anybody who had the chance to know him. He did this in a very selfless way. In a way, there was no reason for him to do this other than he wanted to. He wanted to make something special for everyone. And it wasn't an ego thing for him. He wanted to say, hey, I'm going to make the perfect playground for all of you. And now we're like little kids playing in the playground. So when we talk about Jim and in the ways that we talk about Jim, it's just being grateful for who he was as a man, who he was as a friend, and the legacy and what he built for all of us is just amazing. And if you're a worker and there's someone, it's like, you're working somewhere, it's like, boy, a private plane would be great for all of us. It's like Jim was the kind of guy going, well, is it going to work? Is it going to happen? Could it make it better? Is it going to make it better for everyone? Okay, let's do it. And he made it special for everyone.
Yeah, it'll be a legacy piece going forward, and that's really what it's all about. It's such an amazing, just interesting place that really intrigues people when they walk in the grounds. It's like a true reflection of what he was all about. It's just, it's funny showing people. I'm getting that experience now. Showing new members around for the first time that they're really kind of getting that all encompassing tour and showing them all the little intricacies and stuff, like why we did what we did, why you guys did what you did back when designing some of these things. It's just like, it just blows people away. The not only the level of detail but care and passion put in the whole place, and it's going to be a lasting legacy to him for forever.
Yeah, as a teacher, when we went to him, it's like, how do you make the place better? We're like, it'd be really neat to have like a teaching facility here, Maybe we'll put up like a shed or something, and then we can do this, keep us a little bit out of the elements. And by the time we were done, by the time he put his magic on top of it, I mean, you've got the performance center.
The first of its kind.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first of its kind.
Nothing like it. You got a bar in there and food. And it's amazing. People from courses all over take a look at that and try and copy it.
Yeah.
And that was just an idea of, hey.
Just to think how much our pros are pampered in that performance center blows my mind. I see top 100 instructors teaching on just a line of people. These guys are pampered.
Why do you think?
I think that's what Dan's saying.
Yeah, is it so hard to leave, You want to retire, but you can't leave, Hotel California.
Actually, a small world type story is I had my friend out here, Liz. She actually gave me my first job in television. This was her family's homestead before Mistwood.
Get out of here.
So her grandma's house was where maintenance is. And then her cousin's house was right over here. So she came here for lunch this week. She's come out here with her cousin a couple times and just sat there and looked over. And she's a huge historian. Like, she loves history. I love history. So for her to see it, I'm sure there's the family memories of, hey, I used to play over here, and bittersweet of stuff like that. But she has, what I gather, was a true appreciation for everything that was done. She said back in the day when, deals were being done or houses were for sale and everything like that, everyone associated with the situation was very respectful to the family and her grandma and everything like that. And I think, that's where Jim would have really come through as far as being an investor and everything else, and caring for what he was moving towards. So that was really cool to have her out here. And then this year, moving to the farm and the bees and everything surrounding the golf course itself, she was just astounded by, using the land that her family had for more than even golf.
Right.
Being a beautiful golf course, being a beautiful facility, and appreciating that. She's like, you guys are taking it further, and it's really cool to see all these things going on. So that was kind of fun this week. Yeah. Especially on such a poignant week of Jim's birthday and the McWethy Cup. So that was cool. Well, let's move on, because this is where I love and I have enjoyed with the other pros, is the pros kind of getting into each other's heads about teaching and approaches and things like that. I know we have some members that love hearing this stuff. So for you, Dan Phillips, I'll just open up with, where do you start when someone comes up and says they want to get better at golf? And then you guys can kind of dabble from there as well. How do you approach that?
The first thing is, when I'm evaluating or talking to somebody new to golf, I kind of I want to know where they're going with this. What do you want to do? Because then it kind of gives me an idea of, one, how much you may want to change things in that. I mean, if you go from a 30 handicap to a single-digit golfer, I mean, we got some work to do. I mean, I'll never tell anybody they can't do it. I will not. But I will tell them the road, and you're going to have to work hard at it. So I take a look at that and see what they want to do that way, and get them a program that they're going to enjoy. And if I'm giving a lesson, the last thing I want to do is make this feel like work for someone when they're doing it and when they're practicing. Give them some fun things to do. I give them things to do at home to work on, because nobody has, day after day hitting golf balls. I mean, you work for a living, so you got a chance to play golf. So those are the things that I look at. And again, I want to keep it fun. But I want to make sure that when they're leaving that day, that they can see something. They can see a glimmer of hope. They see something that's going on. They've hit some shots that they've never hit in their life, or under a little more of an understanding of what's going on. Because more of, it's not as much usually talent when it comes down to somebody better. I mean, talent does make a difference. There's no doubt about it, and athletic ability, things like that. But with the golf swing, a lot of times it's just a poor understanding of what they actually need to do. So you get them on the right track. This is where you need to head. This is where you need to go, and then things start to enlighten a little bit. Because you got to break through YouTube. That all those lessons that they've the YouTube lessons that they've taken completely destroyed themselves. The bad advice from their friends. because there is some horrible advice out there. One of my favorites is there's a video of this little kid. He had to be like 2.5 or something. He's got this little plastic club, and he's in his show him in the living room, and his dad's there, and this kid makes this beautiful golf swing. I mean, it is gorgeous, and you're looking in awe, and all of a sudden you hear the father say, "Well, son, make sure you keep your head down." And the kid makes the most awful swing you've ever seen in your life. Oh, took every ounce of talent and everything out of the kid just from the horrible saying of keep your head down, and how it just kind of destroyed him when this kid could have been, so it's like our job is to erase all that bad stuff that people are throwing in their heads.
No, this kind of feeds into what I would say your role has been the last few years and can continue to be in the position you are. You're so good at the thing that I think that new instructors don't do enough of, and I saw you do it once and it blew my mind, and it was like this woman was new to golf. I think she was coming for a lesson with you, and you guys didn't hit a shot in the first half hour. So it was just amazing to me. You went through each and every club and what they do and their purpose in her bag. Totally made sense. She literally got a set of clubs from her husband, probably. She had never played golf before, and she's coming to Dan, which would be one of the most intimidating things you'd think for a woman just starting to play golf. This was probably 6-7 years ago. I remember watching this. And you went through the whole bag, and you guys didn't hit a shot. And I'm like, there's not a new teacher in the last 10 years that would have done that. You're one of the best at taking the person on the journey, right? And making sure, and I see it at the Dome, when people would come and you'd have your chair, and then you made sure that a chair was next to you, because then when you'd have them hit a few shots, come back, and you guys are talking through things on video and things like that. So you take the person through the journey, I think, extremely well, where the mistake that new teachers, I think, fall into and really need to, look to guys like you on is everyone is trying to okay, here's the keys to the car. I want to go 500 miles an hour in the left lane. Let's just go and try and get better that way. That's never how you get better at anything, right?
No.
And so as instructors, we're trying to jam 4 or 5 things down somebody's throat in the first half hour. It's you don't get better at anything or any other sport doing it that way. You have to take them on the journey, and that's where it's the flip side. You have to educate the customer that way too, because the customer thinks, I can watch YouTube for 10 minutes, I'll get better, and that's how my approach should be. I should get better in 10 minutes, and that's not how it is. It's not how it is, and just kind of expand on that if you would.
Yeah, it's it's watching football or stuff, any kind of sport. I had a thing, and I'm not the tallest guy in the world. I mean, I played a little football in high school, and I played all the sports. But deep in your mind, you're going, you know what? I could play a little defensive back. I was fast and all that stuff. And then one day, Bo Jackson gets on the range, and I see the man, and I go, oh my God, I would have died. He would have killed me. He would have walked over me just like he did in everybody else in the NFL. I could have tackled him. His thighs are as big as my waist. And I'm going, no. And the same thing was when people watch golf on TV. It's man, it's an NBA All-Star game out there. I mean, it's like a slam dunk contest for these people. They're that good. And to compare yourself to them, because it's different. You don't have Bo Jackson tackling you in the middle of your drive, but to try and be that right away is pretty much impossible. And when people start the game, here it is. It's like I tell people, it's the only game that we've ever played that they just hand you the implements and say, hey, go out there and do it.
Yeah.
When you were a little kid, little league or something, it's you get a coach going, okay, this is first base, this is second base. If you're a second baseman, you're standing here, you're a shortstop here, blah, 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 blah. And in golf, it's here, it's like you're handing an entire game, a bag of stuff to people and go, here, go play it. And the intimidation factor is amazing. That's why people, I think, just right away kind of give up golf. And a lot of ladies especially, it's, they're going out there going, oh my God, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Everybody's going to watch me. And then trying to explain it to them that, when you're on the first tee and you're hitting a shot, do you care what anybody else is doing? Well, no. Well, it's the same for all of us. Pro or not, we're worried about what we're going to do. I'm worried about my drive is going to do. I'm not worried about yours.
Yeah, and it's funny you bring that point up because now you're kind of blending more into coaching than teaching. And we focus too much on the golf side on the teaching, right?
Right.
This needs to be here. This needs to be here. This needs to do this. This needs to do that. Remember hearing one of the best junior instructors out there, at least right now, and he was doing something for like the Junior Olympics, and because golf was a new Junior Olympic sport, and he had these other coaches from these other sports come up to him and say, I just don't get golf. I don't understand why you guys are trying to teach them their own abilities. Like, let them kind of do it and coach them from there on all of the things that are going to happen when they're in that element. And I was thinking about that yesterday with my daughter. So she has a great ability to play golf. She's very good at what she does from a golf standpoint. She hits it like somebody that would shoot 85. She putts it like if you handed a 6-year-old the putter for the first time and said, here's a ball and there's a hole and go try and putt to it. Now, the reason that she was that way, and I didn't think about this, was I've been too worried about some of the teaching aspects, right, of trying to get her swing look right and everything else. But my daughter's 12. This is her 4th tournament, 2 of which have been her state tournament. Do you think there's nerves? Do you think there's excitement? Geez. Do you think there's anxiety? What should I have done from a coach or teacher standpoint was talk about how she's going to feel. She's going to feel nervous. How do you process those nerves? The way you process those nerves is make sure you're deliberate in what you do. Each time you're going to hit a putt, just look from behind it, swing the putter twice, step up to it, and hit it. Just do the same thing each time so it feels more normal to you and you're not as nervous and as anxious. She gets up to one of her first greens, hits it in there 20 feet, and it's a 20-foot putt right in front of her. She hits it about 9 feet right because she walked up to the putt, put her putter down, didn't look at the hole once, and just swung it, right? She was nervous. She's excited. Like that's where, like, I think us as teachers, we got to stop thinking as teachers and like, there's so many aspects. I'm learning so much. You're still learning about golf.
Oh,
I'm still learning about golf. Like, there's so much to coach people on instead of just teach them here to here to here to here to here. And, I get kind of miffed or upset with, like, when I have high school kids that, okay, great, you can shoot 75. That's awesome. You still need to listen to me.
Right.
You still, I've been there 1,000 times if you've been there once. You've been there 10,000 times if I've been there 1,000 times. Like, you are always learning and you're always learning new things. The special kids that we've had come out of our programs are the kids that are the most inquisitive, are the kids that are looking to take advice. I tell a story all the time. It was like 2014, 2015. I can remember in the Dome, Brendan O'Reilly, one of the better players, right, from the state of Illinois. Just he would come hang out just to talk golf, not hit a ball, nothing. I didn't really know him that well. He goes, Andy, I just know you're a good player, and I just want to talk and pick your brain. He did that for 2 weeks. We'd just come late at night at the Dome. We'd sit and talk golf. I mean, those are special types of players, but there's so many just more aspects of this game that people just don't understand. Like you're saying, stop watching YouTube because they're coaching or they're teaching something that's for a specific player, and it's usually geared towards a tour player, and you're a 20, and you need to start in a much different spot than that.
I remember walking years ago. I was working at a range. I was walking down the line as I did. I'd go and talk to everyone, and everybody told me something they're working on. I'm like, I'm doing this, and I couldn't really say much, but I'm like, well, and in back of my head, I'm going, yeah, well, good luck with that. You got no chance doing that. And there was one person I walked by, and he goes, I go, what are you working on? He goes, well, I saw this article, so-and-so, Golf Digest. I go, let me see. He takes a swing. I'm going, you're the first one ever to pick out the perfect lesson for yourself in something like that, keep going.
Yeah.
Keep going. Don't change a thing.
Yep.
But that was like 1 out of 20, or 50 or 100.
I mean, every tour guy's got their own coach, right?
Sure.
There's a reason for that. They're looking for that extra little edge, and they need a sound. Sometimes it's as simple as you need a sounding board.
Right.
You need somebody to talk to. I've had drive-by lessons with you, hundreds of them over the years. I call them drive-bys. It's like 5-minute lessons. They really should be called oil changes. And then it's just like, hey, look at this. This feels weird, or like, and it could be that looks great, or it could be that's not at all what you're doing. Like, you do need that person behind you to tell you what's right or wrong. And I don't know, I got kind of off track there, but
no, you're right.
Yeah, I mean, it's just totally. There's so many aspects of this game that not enough people understand. Even though you can shoot a score, like, you want to sustain both the fun of this game and just your long-term enjoyment. You need somebody to. You need a teacher. You need a coach.
Yeah, you do. And the thing is, too, is if there was anybody who's a teacher or coach who's listening to this, that one of the biggest things I could recommend to anyone is to every once in a while pick up something new. Pick up a new hobby, pick up a new sport. You will really get an appreciation for what your students are going through. It's like, I'm going to go play I'm thinking about playing the guitar. You take a couple lessons and here okay, well, when am I going to sound like, Van Halen here? When is Eddie Van Halen going to come out of this guitar? You start to realize.
You just inspired me. I think I'm going to take the leap. I wanted to try getting into tennis a little bit more, just because like that movement's good for golf. Sure. And but you're right. Like, somebody just starting out fresh, it'd be interesting to see like where they would start me. Mm-hmm. They wouldn't just put you on a jugs machine and just go, all right, whack, whack, whack.
Oh,
Just start hammering balls and being very ultra critical of my technique. I wouldn't think, but that's what we do.
Well, that's true. It's like the problem. I mean, in golf is sometimes how we teach is, okay, it's like the first time somebody playing tennis, you just throw them the ball and they hit it and they hit it and they hit it and they hit it. You tell them nothing about, okay, well, you've got to hit it over the net, or you've got to hit it in this square, or not out of these squares. You're just having them hit it. Yeah. And at that point, you have no appreciation for the game or what, okay, I'm hitting this, but why am I hitting?
Yeah. A junior, usually the two groups that I notice like that conceptually that we should spend more time with too, and they kind of show the inconsistency of golf very clearly is with juniors and women. What do they try and do? They try and lift the ball off the ground, which makes all of the sense in the world, right? I have this thing that is not pointed straight at the target, it's pointed up, and I have this ball on the ground, and this thing that makes it go up should go up with the golf ball. And we're trying to, we usually spend 2 minutes, 3 minutes talking about the dynamics of if you hit down on it, it goes up. Like, that should absolutely make somebody's mind explode. Or we just kind of brush over. Yeah, if you hit down on it more, it actually spins more and it gets up in the air. But like, that's the whole thing. It's like we need to spend more time, and from the student side of things, they need to be patient as well in understanding where we're trying to get to. And people like you, we need to spend more time with and making sure that we do it the right way, teach the right way. Because right now it does seem like that every lesson that especially young instructors are giving is like, all right, I need this done in a half hour, and it's not going to work.
You got to play to when you're teaching, you got to play to your audience.
Sure.
I mean, like giving you a lesson that I would give to a first time somebody picking up a club would be absolutely worthless to you.
Yeah.
But giving that person first time picking up a club, the lesson I would give to you would be absolutely worthless to this person.
But before we even start a lesson between you and I, we're 99% on the same page.
Yeah.
We know exactly where this conversation is probably going to go, and we're both on the same page.
Right.
And that's, you can't expect it from a student when they're just walking off the street.
Yeah, you're right about certain things, like just explaining to someone that a divot is in front of the ball. I remember every time I give that lesson, it's golf ball, then divot. I can remember the time, who I was with when somebody told me that.
Yeah.
40, 50 years, whatever it's been, how many years ago that's been. And I could still remember, I could still see it in my mind right now because it blew my mind away that much. It was complete new. It changed golf for me.
Yeah.
You know, but we sometimes just quickly go over it. But sometimes you got to realize that, you know, the one thing you say may change the golf for somebody forever.
Yeah. And, you know, the momentums of the golf swing actually take you away from your target. When you swing when you swing something back, I mean, you're basically swinging a light hammer backwards, right, to get it to go forward. And we're trying to tell people, go forward, get towards your target. You need to get towards your target. Well, you know, we need to do a better job of telling them better not only how to do it, but like how you should feel getting back that way. Because you have a thing that's on the ground that initially in your head you're going to try and hit behind,
right?
And you're going to try and lift it off the surface. So your body's wanting to go backwards in order to do that. The thing that you're swinging, the momentum is making everything go backwards, but yet we're telling them to do everything in the opposite direction. This game is hard as hell, man.
It's counterintuitive.
It is hard as hell.
And this, if you look in golf, 90% of the people slice a golf ball. Mm-hmm. Basically, you know, never taken a lesson or anything. They hit it, they slice. They hit, they slice. They hit, they slice it.
What would be kind of your? Let's jump over to that. What would be your number one slice fix?
Well, my number one slice fix is to tell somebody stop trying to hit it straight. The minute I and explain how, and that's why everybody slices, because they're trying to hit a golf ball straight. They're taking it kind of like a straight back thing, trying to take that club straight through, like aim it through to the target and have that face feel like it's square to that target the entire time. Mm-hmm. When if you show them, like I use a lot with tennis racket, things like that, and you explain to them, okay, here, if I get the face going that way, it's like taking a tennis racket and opening up the face as you're coming into the shot. Oh my God, can we drop
that sounder? Dan's got a great lesson for like 1906. Yeah, this tennis racket. It's an awesome lesson. But keep explaining it.
Plus, I looked younger and better back then too.
It was a wooden tennis racket.
Yeah, it was wooden. Scared if I remember that. I played with wooden clubs.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's trying to have that club go completely straight back and straight through to the target is really the killer. The golf swing works in an arc. So in the best ways I can describe it, the golf swing works in an arc. The toe of the club has to point toward your target, and it points toward your target way earlier than you think it does. Way earlier. Almost instantaneously in your downswing, the toe of the club is going toward the target.
Well, just in the downswing to through swing, if you take all aspects out of it and we only talk about the degree change in club head from here, from waist high, basically hip high in your right, let's say right-handed golfer, hip high in your right hip to hip high in your left hip, that club rotates 180 degrees.
Yeah, I mean, it's a couple different ways you look at it. But if the simplest of all of it is just working that toe of the club, just understanding how that toe of the club is going to that target, how you do it. You know, I mean, some people play with a little more closed face. Some people have to, you know, they open once you open the face, you got to close it. You've got to. So if you're less opening and closing, there's less you have to do. If you keep it a little more closed or modern day square is basically what we call it, it's a lot easier to do as far as getting through and getting that toe there. And again, feeling the arc. The golf ball only cares about two things. It cares about path of the club and face of the club. That's it. Mm-hmm. That's all we teach when it comes down to it, is trying to get you with a decent path and a decent face.
Yep.
All the rest is like, you know, just trying to find ways to make it easier for you to do those two things.
Yeah, and if you want to prove that to yourself, you can, you know, if you feel like your golf swing is relatively good, you could turn the club face 15 degrees shut, make a golf swing, and the ball should start left.
Right.
If you were to open it 15 degrees, make the same golf swing, you know, with like a relatively, you know, lower loft, like a 5-iron, the ball's going to start right. The laws of ball flight, number one, wherever the club face is pointed, that's where the ball's going to start.
Right.
Path is influential on the flight, like the total flight of where that's going to go. But number one, if that club face is square, and the only way to make that square because it swings on an arc is that club face does need to rotate, and it needs to rotate shut coming through.
Yeah.
You can't just hang open.
Definitely what feels like shut.
Yes.
Definitely what feels like shut. So, yeah, the best advice I can give anybody who slices it is stop trying to hit it straight. And if you're looking to find out what club face is, take a tennis racket, and because it's the biggest thing you can, as far as face is face. I mean, when it comes down to, if you work with a tennis racket a little bit and see, I mean, how you would cut a tennis ball, or how you would. The golf swing is a little more of a top hand in tennis, or ping pong, table tennis, racquetball, whatever. It's a little more of a top hand spin shot if you want to hit draw and hit it more powerful. If you want to hit it weak and a little more right, then you can open the face up more. But you've got to be someone like Frank here. You know, to me, you know, a guy like a tour pro boy, and everybody's like, well, tour pros, man, they cut it and everything, and it's really nice. They hit that little slice and everything else.
They're cutting it from a closed, like a club face that they're closing from path. Like they're still square.
Oh, definitely. And the thing is, too, is all of them, I mean, if I can hit a drive 350 yards, and I cut it and hit a 325, I can live with that.
I'll take that all day.
Yeah. But if you're your average golfer and you hit it, you know, maybe 225, and then you cut it and you hit it 190 with the driver, you're gonna want more.
Gladys and Dustin Johnson are not going to rotate at the same speed coming through. So, you know, Dustin Johnson rotates, and that's how he gets his path out in front of him.
Right.
But basically his belt buckle is pointed at the target while his hands are still back in impact. Go ahead and try that at home. It's in slow motion, and you'll basically fall on the ground. So you just can't equate the two. Next question. Worst lesson or worst thing that you've taught over the years for a period of time that was completely wrong now that you look back on it?
Oh, wow. Wow, that's an interesting question.
Here, I'll steal one.
Go ahead.
Ball way back in the stance when you're chipping type of thing.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, what else?
That's what I was told.
Yeah.
No, you're right. That's probably, I would say, crazily enough, the short game is probably the biggest change that we've made in the golf swing and how we do it, using more of the, having the face a little bit different. The
bounce.
Bounce of the club. Yeah, great. Yeah. I've only done this my whole life and can't figure out a word. But yeah,
you have the grooves on the face.
That's really changed. Yes, there's grooves there and things.
There's a grip and a shaft.
Two things that have changed: short game and how we hit a driver has changed from back in the day. For you really old people who used persimmon drivers back in the day, I mean, that's completely changed. And I am to a man, I would say that hitting the old persimmon 3-woods is a heck of a lot easier than hitting today's 3-wood off the ground.
I would totally agree with that. Holy cow, I would totally agree with that. I'm just old enough to actually have had a persimmon 3-wood. I would totally agree with that. I never even thought about that. But those things would spin right away.
Oh, yeah.
And they would get like up in the air, and you could actually like spin them a little bit. They'd be a touch shorter.
Oh, definitely.
But you could spin them, though.
Well, today's drivers are basically little mini, or today's 3-woods are mini drivers.
Yeah.
You know, honestly, I don't, unless you're a really, really good player, trying to hit a 3-wood off the ground is it's difficult.
I'm hitting a weak 4-wood type loft, and I'm hitting it longer than I ever have with a fairway wood, which is, it's like counterintuitive. But back in the day, to your point, I remember seeing I think both of us saw this presentation, this TrackMan presentation, where the guy talked about in 1990 when they're all hitting wood heads, the average launch angle is 7 degrees. This ball's spinning at 4,000 RPMs, and that's how guys kept it in the fairway.
Right.
And now they launch it 14, 15 degrees, half the spin rate, and that's kind of just how it's changed. Now, obviously, it's going to change forever that way. It's not going to go back to, we should, hype it up and spin it. But then, we went to the other extreme where it's too low spinning, you can't control the golf ball, and so now you got to be kind of in that sweet spot. But It's so crazy how that stuff changes.
Well, look at tour pros. How many of them are carrying 3-woods anymore? They're all 4 or 5 woods, things like that. They're not many carrying 3-woods anymore. If they're throwing a 3-wood in, it's because they're going to hit it off the tee, And then when I'm giving someone a lesson, and they come up to me, boy, I'm really having trouble hitting my 3-wood. I'm like, yeah, well, welcome to the club.
Yeah, get a 5-wood.
Yeah. First thing I do is take your 3-wood, put it back in your bag. Let's get the 5-wood out. Let's get a hybrid out. Let's get something that we can more easily get up in the air. That's huge. And then the persimmon driver. I mean, it was, you never hit that thing high in the face. You always try to hit it lower on the face.
Yeah.
And then when we started
so you'd pop it up. It was 200 cc's.
Yes.
Yeah, you'd pop it up.
And then all of a sudden we started getting these, I'm talking like new stuff. It's been out for 40 years. But now all of a sudden we're trying to hit it higher on the face. Yeah. And so the first time I picked up, really started working with the metal drivers, and especially now. I mean, in the beginning, it was, you could still hit them low on the face.
Yep.
Now you hit them low on the face, and it's like you might as well hit your putter. I mean, it's going to go nowhere.
I've got an old burner tour spoon, which was like the first metal fairway wood that TaylorMade had. I can sky that thing. I can get that thing up in the air because the same kind of dynamics of the old fairway woods. Now it's just everything is so low spinning.
And to be honest, it's you get it, but all this stuff is basically built for tour pros. I mean,
it is. You're totally right.
And we're trying to sell it to people that this is the best thing for you, and then they're changing their swing. I'm trying to hit up on drivers and things like that, which only about 2% or 3% of the people can actually do it correctly. Most people that try to hit up on a driver are just going to hit this high right balloon shot or just pull the snot out of it, and so another advice I can give to anyone out there: stop trying to hit your driver high. Just make your normal swing with it. Yes, the driver swing is a little bit different, but if you're trying to hang back and hit it high, you're going to hit some awful drives. You still got to get through it. You still got to get to your front side. And most people when they try and hit it high, they hang back and it's pretty. Because
again, they're seeing tour guys, and they're not interpreting what they're seeing right. The tour guys are still getting their front side. They're rotating while they're getting to their front side, and so people think, oh well, I see them hanging back. They're not hanging back in their downswing. They're getting left. Their pressure's getting left, and they're just rotating. So it's just completely different.
Poor Ben here is looking at us.
He's flagging us. What do you want?
He's going.
What do you want, Ben?
See, sometimes you got to be careful what you ask for as far as two pros talking about the golf swing.
You put lighter fluid on a pile of sticks and threw a match on and said, hey, could this go out in about 5 minutes?
I couldn't have asked for anything better between you guys. I just had a very specific question. I've had a couple.
Okay, fine.
I've had a couple lessons with Dan, and it's helped because I was a guy who never really took lessons. I played baseball. I was an athlete. I played multiple sports. I did all that. So as a general rule of thumb, how do you set up for your drive? Where are your feet at? Where's the ball at in your stance? How far away is the ball from you? Is there a general rule of thumb you can follow? Obviously, depending on height and everything like that.
Can I stop for like 1 second? Because that's a perfect example right there. Would a new pro go through all of those things to explain it to you? But that's a question. You've been playing golf now for 20 years, right?
Yeah.
And that's a question.
Very off and on.
But right, but that's a question at its most basic level that us as pros, because we're at a certain level, assume when you walk in that you should know that. Anyway, proceed. Go ahead.
Right. No, it's... I'd say most people, it's either they play too far back or too far forward. You've got to keep it somewhere inside of your shoulders. Okay, a lot of people go by their left foot or left ankle. I'd like to tell people that about left armpit, if you're a right-handed player, is about where you'd want to have it. Go more with your body because you can do some crazy stuff with your feet and spread them way apart and different things like that. So if you're going inside of your your armpit right there is perfect for the driver. Now,
that also helps too. Can I interject too? Because when you line it up on your armpit too, and you're putting the driver down, That's a really good impact position too with drivers, is having that feeling of that straight left arm kind of impact wise. So having it kind of more go off the feeling of where it's at in the left armpit, that also makes it a lot easier.
Or right for me because I'm the forgotten left-handed golfer.
Right.
So, exactly.
Yeah.
That's why
cool.
armpits work, because both sides have
Fortunately, we have one on each side.
you have one on the other side too.
So then how far away from the ball? Do you rest your club somewhere?
You want the driver, you want all clubs. You're basically, if your arms are hanging directly from your shoulders and you have some good bend at the waist, I mean, not a ton, but some bend at the waist, that's your proper position. And that will put you, if you do that, the length of the club will dictate then how far you're away from the ball. You're always in the same posture. So the club's a little bit longer. Doesn't change. Now, the driver is the one that you can be a little bit more, arms a little more up. It's a longer club. So if you're not directly dead hanging from your shoulders, a little bit more forward is not, a little more up is not necessarily a bad thing.
And remember, before you got lessons, Ben, right? You were a big kind of back straight knee bender guy.
Yeah.
And now you're more straight legged and doing it the proper way and bending at the waist.
Still not hitting it where I need to consistently enough, but we'll attribute that to practice. But you're absolutely right. Like I was just swinging. I was like, my feet were flying up. Like I was moving my feet a lot. So lots of things work. I'm due for another lesson.
Yeah. Well, actually, I mean, you actually have a lot of talent. And you actually, when you do connect with the ball, you hit it really well.
I can.
Now,
is this going to make the cut? It's going to be cut out?
This is going to be very much. I might move this up to the front of the podcast.
Okay. All right.
But, your practice habits are a little bit weak.
Yes.
They hit balls.
No, 100%. We talk about it all the time. Dan, how do I lower the strokes? You know, it's like practice your short game. Practice your short game.
Yeah.
That's where you're going to make the biggest difference. Your swing, like you said, you're fighting your whole life to get your swing in the right place. You're still fighting it. You're still working on it every single time you're out. I just need to get to a place personally where I'm more consistent. But like you said, that's practice. And that's probably the best advice for any golfer of any level.
And practice, like I said, I give homework, as far as posture. I'll have people do things in the mirror at home, and I'll give them some stuff that they could do at home, swinging a golf club. Again, I don't expect people to come out and hit golf balls every day. It's impossible. But if you take 10 or 15 minutes in the backyard swinging a golf club, you can improve. You really will, as long as you're practicing what you should be doing.
Do you want the worst example in the world?
Sure.
Think if you showered once a month, how methodical you'd be about that shower versus you shower every day, right?
Yeah.
And how thoughtless the shower becomes. Put a club in your hand every day. Take swings every day. Do something every day with a golf club.
Right.
And that's what I'm trying to instill on like my kids right now. Do something every day with whatever sport you're going to want to just keep playing. Do something every day. 5 minutes.
Yes.
5 minutes. Just do something every day. Have a club in your hand every day, and you will get better at it.
Yeah, if you're going to practice at
actually,
home.
I think the shower thing is actually pretty good. That's a pretty
good example.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're going to practice at home, please don't swing a golf club for a half hour in the backyard or an hour or something. You're just going to get sloppy and everything else. You're better off actually taking 5 or 10 minutes doing it and then go do something else, and maybe in the evening do another 5 or 10 minutes, Much better learning that way than trying to just, I see people on a range too. I mean, by their 15th bucket of balls, it's like, oh my gosh, it's like, you're having somebody run a 50-yard dash. How many of those in a row can you do before you're going to start being really bad at it? You're going to get tired. You're going to get sloppy.
Did you go to that seminar with me? I brought it up in the last podcast. Did you go to that seminar with me with Sasha McKenzie where he was talking about the effort it takes to hit a driver? So he said it takes the same effort to hit a driver as it is from statically standing, bending down, and lifting a 60-pound weight to your waist.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So, like, think how many times you're just pumping drivers at the driving range. Wait 30 seconds, wait a minute, each and every swing.
I'm good for, if I was going to practice a driver in a day, I'm good for maybe 10 good, hard, full swings with the driver, and then I'm done. That's all I got. I mean, if I want to practice a little impact position or something like that and take 3/4 swings, a little bit different. But actually going after it, maybe 10. That's it. Well, I am 62 now, so that makes it a little different. I'm not 18. But even then, you're just going to get sloppy. You can get lazy, you can get sloppy, and it's going to get horrible.
San Diego Zoo only runs the cheetah once a day. I mean, he's a cheetah, so 10 swings pretty good.
Well, and if you're out there grinding for 3 hours, your swing after 3 hours.
That's true.
Yeah. No, don't work him too hard. Don't work the cheetah too hard. Only reaches max speed once. So, but if you're grinding for 3 hours, your swing at the end of the 3 hours is going to be way different than it was 3 hours ago. And like you said, you're just getting sloppy.
Yeah.
Your swing was probably good 20 minutes into it because you're warmed up, you're ready to go. But yeah, it's probably just bad habits forming.
Well, this is where we come back to our original point. You have to have a teacher. You have to have a coach that gives you a roadmap of what to do, because if you get caught up in watching what other people doing, and I've talked about this before, I had that when I was playing mini tours. Like, I would watch what other guys are doing, and I'm not an 8-hour practice guy. I'm a hit a few balls, process what I'm trying to process, and I'm much better at resting than I am practicing. So, but that's good for me. And so, like, don't get wrapped up in what other people are doing, what other people are saying. Find your guy, get your advice from your one guy, and that's going to kind of be your plan going forward.
Yeah.
Very cool. I enjoyed that part. Let's finish up the show.
Yeah.
We would be just crazy to not talk about the fact that the Live Golf Tour is right in our backyard, literally in Dan Phillips' backyard.
Yeah,
like, he just peeks over the fence and he looks.
Cars his yard for an extra $20.
So out there at Rich Harvest Farms,
if there was more than 5 people going to watch it, I could use my I could use my backyard to park some cars.
And I asked him, I said, "Hey, have you noticed anything out there in the area? And have you noticed anything?"
No, there's just a sign that on the exit ramp that says Live Golf thing, but other than that, I haven't seen anything. Now, to be honest, I'm maybe a mile and a half, 2 miles away from the golf course. So, I'm not there right on the golf course seeing things, and I'm sure there's things that are happening.
See some more traffic or something. I mean, it's golf,
yet.
but
Maybe
louder, and you haven't heard it.
You
haven't heard it.
No. You said there's a concert going on there.
There's a couple. He wants Jason Derulo. Jason Derulo. Yeah. Before
Can you give me one
tomorrow.
Jason Derulo song? Because I do.
He always says Jason Derulo before he starts the songs.
In my head, you should. We'll play some in my head. We can't for copyright issues right here on the podcast.
Gotcha.
Okay.
But we'll play it after this, and you'll be like, "Oh, maybe I know it." He's got some catchy tunes.
I'm sure I know it.
I mean, like I said,
I have serious.
he's popular with the ladies too. So, Jason Derulo. Maybe that's why they did it. They're like, well, we'll have the golfers, and then maybe we'll get some of the ladies out here too for Jason Derulo. But we were looking at tickets today for it because they've been pumping these out. Hey, $49, $79, 3-day passes. Like, get your tickets now. On StubHub today, they're $7 for a 3-day pass. 3-day pass is $7. Like,
what?
That's less than Taco Bell.
Yeah, I was going to ask, do you get a Big Mac with it?
Yeah. So there's that. And then, but at the same time, on the Live Golf website, they're selling the premium.
This morning.
I didn't eat breakfast this morning. They're selling the Club 54 Premium, which is, I'm going to read it like they would probably type, like, elevate your entertainment by capitalizing on exclusive experiences not offered anywhere else, because Live Golf's only one thing. Walk inside the ropes with players and caddies and watch as the winner lifts the trophy from front row seating. So how much for a 2-day pass do you think that is from the Live Golf website?
$550.
$3,750.
I'll take 2.
The 3-day pass for that premium experience of walking inside the ropes and seeing the trophy from the front row is $5,000.
Oh, why?
Who would do that?
Why?
I'd pay $5,000 to get on that Live airplane.
Yeah, I'm sure the party on the airplane is probably
amazing.
good.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, I have absolutely nothing against Live Golf. I really don't. I think if somebody came up to me and said, Dan, would you take $5 million to go play in some tournaments? I mean, how quickly could I do that,
Yeah.
But the only thing that bothers me is that these guys, they made a decision. They were told, if you do this, this is going to happen. And they made a decision, hopefully based on that. But to later on come back and go, I didn't know that would happen.
Well, they're not independent contractors. They're PGA members.
Yeah.
They're PGA Tour members. Sorry, not PGA members. PGA Tour members. And with that membership, that is a player-governed membership. And the players laid out these rules. It's not it's not Jay Monahan hating Greg Norman. I'm sure they don't like each other, but this is the players that are putting these bylaws in place. It's not the tour.
They're less of an independent contractor now being on the Live Tour than they were being on the PGA Tour.
Heck yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, they've signed a contract. They are employed.
Locked in certain events.
The PGA Tour, you're a member, but it doesn't, you're not locked in anything. You can go do what you want. As you saw, some of these guys left and went to Live. And again, more power to them. Great for them. Some of these guys, they're better amateurs that are like, here's so many million to come play when you have no guarantee that you're going to be on the PGA Tour. Take it in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Unless you're a billionaire to begin with and don't care.
Dude, what happens to the first guy that defects? I've been wondering this. Does somebody come after him in the dark at night, or?
Yeah. You broke your contract?
Sergio's like really close, saying like, screw this. This is like,
yeah.
And Sergio's that guy, that kind of guy. I'm interested when somebody defects from this thing.
Well, and how long are these contracts too? It just depends.
Like 2, 3, 4 years.
So
I've seen.
I think they're gonna have to play out their contract, and then they can be like, "That was a mistake. I did what I felt I needed to do." And again, I don't have a problem with it. I haven't been interested in it. I logged on to stream, the first tournament. I watched a little bit, and like you said, it's golf at golf. Whatever, guys playing golf, hopefully at a high level, but everyone throws out exhibition. I don't buy into the fanfare of it. It's not exciting for me.
It's exciting when you have some of the better players.
Yeah, they've gotten more.
The last playoff was pretty damn good. You're telling me it wasn't good?
I didn't watch it.
So
I haven't
seen
it. Literally, it was like wildfire. Like, oh my gosh, you got to see this playoff type of thing. Pop up on Twitter or whatever. So I tuned in, and I'm sure I tuned in, and a lot of people tuned in.
Yeah.
Still, undeniably, if you have Dustin Johnson playing at a very high level, if you have Lahiri, who's the top 50 player in the world, playing at a high level, and then
I got Cam Smith.
Was Cam Smith in that playoff?
He's in this
too?
one. Well, I'm saying he's in this. Now he's in this
Cam
event.
Smith was one shot out of the playoff.
Yeah, I have no idea.
It was like, it's hard not to want to watch the best golfers in the world. Like,
yeah,
I'm not super against it. I'm becoming more against it the more I'm being educated on it, just because this isn't an organic tour. There wasn't a need for it, right? This wasn't an organic tour. There wasn't a need for it. In C or 3, these players are being taken from another tour. This isn't something where, these players collectively got together and said, you know what, we need to have another branch of the PGA Tour. Guess what? They already did that, and it's called the World Golf Championships. And that's what the PGA Tour did initially was, if you want the best players in the world, fine. You have to be top 100 in the world to play in these World Golf Championships. You got to be top 30 in the world to play in these World Golf Championships, whatever it is. They did that. So they created essentially what Norman wanted to create back in the 90s.
Right.
And then Norman got all, upset and kept pursuing until he didn't care where the money was coming from and just went for it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think from we talked about it before, from an organic standpoint, it's just like I hate the fact that the best players aren't playing every week together. That's it.
That's, I think, why I don't have that interest. I'll drive up to Wisconsin for the majors and everything like that, and local if there's majors. This is really close, and it's not the same. Like, it doesn't feel the same.
But what's weird is there are only a couple players from literally having every stud that you want.
Totally. They've totally increased the stock of the field.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you're a Justin Thomas away from that being the primary watch. You're a Rory McIlroy from that being the primary watch. You're a John Rahm from that being the primary watch. It's only a couple players.
Yeah, you've in essence, you've watered down a little bit both tours.
Yeah, and you have.
Yeah.
But I will say, I've always said this before, there's 1,000 guys that can play on the PGA Tour.
Oh,
And you get guys like Cam Young, who is going to be number one in the world here in the next couple of years, and no one heard of him 3 years ago.
Right.
You know, not that he needed an opportunity, but there's going to be guys like that catch wildfire, and it can happen.
I will say, as we wrap this up, the Live Golf Tour has given guys like Dan Phillips more of a chance as well, because they brought in some of those guys towards the end of their golf careers. And they're paying them millions.
Oh, you're right.
They're paying them millions,
right?
And they can appear in these events.
I mean, if I was on tour, you're 50 years old, and it's like, you know, you were definitely on the tail end of this. But here's 15
no one's
million to
putting
go
shade
play.
on Lee Westwood right now.
Oh, he's been in some Twitter fights this week too.
Oh, he's just sit out of them because no one's putting shade on the fact that Lee Westwood took $50 million.
Oh, he's getting paid.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to knock him for it.
No, I would, you know, it'd be hard for me not to take the money. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it.
Well, Dan, it's been great having you on the podcast.
Thank you.
This is now our longest podcast.
Uh-oh.
Oh, was it really?
Absolutely.
Yeah, people are bored to death. If you stayed this long, God bless you.
Why don't we do this? Why don't we cut the stuff out about your golf game, and then we'll tighten it up, and it'll kind of be in line with all the other podcasts.
That was about 30 seconds, Andy.
That seemed like a long time.
That's about all my golf game is worth talking about.
It seemed like longer than that.
So this is basically a road trip from like here to Canada or something like that. You'll almost make it.
We're getting those trips to the lake and back for people. They can listen to our whole podcast now.
I think we should maybe advertise one of these podcasts, come up like a full nerd out session, get John back in here. And we were nerding out on Dan. We were nerding out on John. We should just fully nerd out. And then you could say, hi, welcome to our podcast. And then just close it out. Like
I could just leave.
Later. Yeah, you can
text me and say we're about done.
Yeah, we're wrapping this thing up.
There's not a need for Ben Hutchison at this point. No, it was awesome. I love talking about Jim. I always love hearing those stories because I feel like every time you guys tell stories, a new one comes up and a new quirk to like the way he reacted to something. So I appreciate that.
The three of us would not be sitting here doing this without Jim.
Yeah.
If that says anything about it.
Yep.
And we're having a blast. I have a blast doing stuff like this. And I mean, you talk golf, do that forever. But thank you, Jim, because I wouldn't be here doing it without you.
Thank you, Jim. Let's leave it at that, and we'll see all of you next time.
Get in the cart.
Right at us.
The best in the business, Roger Cleveland.
Can't wait to get back to Chicago and Mistwood.
This is Party of Four, a Mistwood Golf Club podcast.